Welcome to HEC-TV's live interactive program that's part of St. Louis.
The whole production is pulled together.
It's going to be a steel bridge.
On the American classic novel,
the car that put America on wheels.
Welcome to HEC-TV Live. Tonight, HEC-TV is very pleased to present Opening Night at Hunt Gallery. Hi everyone, I'm Tim Gore, your host for HEC-TV Presents, and tonight you're going to have the opportunity to be part of opening night here at the Cecil R. Hunt Gallery on the campus of Webster University, where tonight Bring Me a Lion, an exhibition of contemporary Indian art, is just opening. It's going to run from tonight until April 17th, where artists who are either from India or Indian by birth or culture or are influenced by Indian culture have a variety of contemporary works on display at the exhibition in the gallery. For those of you not familiar with the Hunt Gallery on the campus of Webster University, let's give you a little orientation to where we are. I'm actually standing on Big Bend here out in the parking lot on Big Bend, and behind me, just down the way a little bit, is the intersection between Big Bend and Edgar Road, where, of course, if you come to the campus often for Repertory Theater of St. Louis activities, you would obviously know where we're located. And just west of that is where you'll find the Cecil Hunt Gallery on the left-hand side of the road as you head down west just from Edgar. So we're very excited to be here with you tonight. Don't forget, as always, with HEC-TV Presents, you can send us your email questions. You can send them to us at live@hectv.org. That's live@hectv.org. So tonight, you're going to have the chance to meet Beth Strobel, who, of course, is the president of Webster University. You're going to have the opportunity to meet Jeffrey Hughes, who is the curator of the exhibition. And you're going to have the opportunity to meet three of the artists whose work is on exhibition tonight. Let's start by meeting Beth Strobel, president of Webster University. Beth, thanks so much for being here.
Glad you're here.
Thanks so much. It's great. Well, we think it's really exciting to be here because obviously this is an exhibition that's rather international in nature.
Absolutely.
And Webster University obviously has an international presence. Webster University obviously has an international presence educationally. Talk a little bit about the gallery, why it's important to do this kind of exhibition work, and just the mission of the university.
Well, sure. I think that this institution was founded on the idea that we meet the needs of the community and that we're very tied to the community. So we're a comprehensive university with many kinds of programs. Art's here from the inception. And so you can't really do effective art unless you're connected to the community. And because Webster's international, of course we want to be connected to an international arts community.
So you've had a chance to see the exhibition yourself, or is this the first time you're going to see it tonight?
I saw it before we talked.
And what's your response to the exhibition yourself?
Extremely expressive, surprising. I realized that much of the Eastern art I've seen before in my life was not contemporary. So it's very self-revealing about Indian culture in ways that we might not otherwise have access to.
Well, I think it's going to be very cool that our audience tonight is going to have the chance to see it, and then, of course, for people to come between now and April 19th to see it here on the campus. Beth, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're going to walk inside now into the exhibition space. You can see all these people who are here who've been part of the opening night festivities. They've just had the opportunity to hear from Jeff Hughes, the curator. And as we walk into the gallery space now, you're going to see that there's actually quite a few folks. I'm going to wend my way through the crowd here, and you'll find that there's quite a few folks who are still here as part of the opening. And we're going to be very excited to be joined by Jeff Hughes, who's going to come over and meet me here now. Jeff, I'll have you come this way. Thanks so much for being here.
How you doing tonight?
Doing absolutely great tonight. This is a fantastic crowd that you've got here.
This is a fantastic crowd, and I'm so pleased. The artists are here. They're very excited about being here, and I think people are seeing a bit of Indian culture that they've not experienced before. To see contemporary art that is truly global art from India. Sorry.
No worries. Let's talk a little bit about the nature of the exhibition, because as a curator, it's entitled "Bring Me a Lion." Let's start with just the title. Why that?
It was a metaphor to find a kind of hybrid statement, but there are lions throughout Sanskritic literature. There was a connection with the Asiatic lion that used to go as far into Europe as the Balkans and across India, and then throughout Indian mythology, the lion comes up over and over. And so my goal was really to find a way that we can talk about old and new, the traditional and the absolutely contemporary at the same time. And so that was it.
Well, we had the opportunity a little bit earlier to actually do some video of the exhibition when there isn't a large crowd in it, so the audience on TV will be able to see it. So as we begin that video, let's just talk a little bit about the artists, where they come from, how were works selected.
The artists come, they all are South Asian heritage. Some of them live in India. One of the artists who is with us this evening, Tushar Joag, is from Bombay. Several of the artists were from Bombay. One is from New Delhi. 2 or 3 actually live in New York and live there with family, but visit India repeatedly. They have been exhibiting. In fact, we have some books laid out over here throughout the world. Half of the artists are in an exhibition in London as we speak. That opened just a couple of weeks ago, and they have been involved with the largest exhibition of Indian contemporary to date that took place in Tokyo and then Vienna just last November.
Very cool. And the exhibition is here until April 19th.
April 19th, yes.
Are there any things that you want people to think about when they come to the exhibition to begin with, a frame of reference at all?
That's a really good question. I'd like people to think about the importance of social activism in art. Every one of the artists, now this is not highly politicized work by any means, but the Indian experience requires one to really question the notions of ethnicity, of identity, of states. One work is about Kashmir. It's even in the shape of the state of Kashmir, but also wants one to think about workers that have been lost and the names that have been lost over time.
Now, the artists are working in a variety of different media. I've seen video pieces. There's something that's like a sand sculpture on the floor that the audience saw. Talk a little bit about the different media, and were you definitely looking for pieces that would fit those kind of different medias for experiences for the viewer?
Well, absolutely, and we have some student work up here, and I think as you walk around, our aesthetic dictate, for lack of a better word, is that art is not just something that's hung on the wall. It's not a retinal experience, but it's an experience of ideas. And those ideas can happen in many media. It just so happens that I tend to be drawn to video. The co-curator, Dana Turkovich, tends to be drawn to video, and so there are several video works, several works that are photographic. But all of them deal with an immediacy of time and place, and that I think comes through in each of them. Yeah.
Now, we've had the opportunity to see this fabulous booklet that's been put together. Obviously, as curator, this is part of your responsibility. Talk a little bit about what the role of a curator is for an exhibition like that.
Well, there's several roles. One of the roles is to invent the idea of why these works would be put together. Another is just the simple nuts and bolts of putting on the exhibition. But the catalog serves another function. The catalog is a didactic element, that the thought of how these works transpire, there's a piece of art writing that goes with it. And so I've tried to sort of lay out my ideas of what the exhibition is about, as well as a small writing. There's a small bit biography of each of the artists, and a small piece on their work. So.
Now, as the curator yourself, do you learn new things about the pieces as you every time you see them? Does it make you think differently as you begin to write for a booklet about the work, as opposed to if you were just contemplating it for yourself?
You know, that's an incredible question, because every time I look at work more often, I learn something new about it. And the works that I originally wanted to place on the wall, they seem to transform as I knew more about them, knew more about the artists. And as an art writer, as an art historian and critic, that's the great experience for me, that the ability to see work anew every time.
Very cool.
This is Department Chair Tom Lang.
Tom, thanks so much. Hi, how are you tonight?
Good. It's a wonderful night.
And so it's fabulous that you're here as well. Just talk a little bit about the excitement of tonight and opening night, and what it means not just for what's happening here with this exhibition, but the student work that's on exhibition too.
Right. Well, one of the interesting things is that this is a very special occasion, but our goal is to make students take special occasions for granted. We want them to think this is what should happen in education. And so, for example, the speaker today, students come to the talks that we have every Friday, and they don't even need to know who's talking. They show up. Today was only standing room only for 2 artists from India who gave a wonderful talk. It's hard to measure what that does for a student's education.
Talk a little bit about the size and the scale of the art department here. If one wants to come to Webster University, what's the experiences I would find myself in your department?
Well, there are big cars and compact cars, and then minis. We've obviously almost outgrown this space, and yet our students rival students at universities that are 20, 30 times as large as we are, because we have a very cohesive and cutting-edge program. One of the things that we emphasize that we're about contemporary art, and that's why Jeff has worked so hard to bring contemporary art, first contemporary exhibition of Bosnian artists, the first one in the Midwest of Indian artists, and each exhibit tries to forge new ground that we haven't seen here and that hasn't been seen in St. Louis.
Thanks so much for being here. It's been a real pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. So there's a little bit of information, obviously, about the exhibition itself and, of course, about the art department here at Webster University. Don't forget, if you've got questions tonight, you can email them to us at live@hectv.org. That's live@hectv.org. We're now going to have the opportunity to meet Patrick Stark, the executive director of the Bear Foundation, and learn about the support that they provided to the program. Patrick, come right on over. Hi. Good evening. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Well, talk a little bit about the foundation and why you think it's important to, support work like this, and how did you get involved?
Oh, okay. The Arthur and Helen Bear Foundation was created by Arthur Bear, the Sticks Bear and Fuller Company, and by Helen Bear, and she was a docent at the Art Museum. And so she thought that visual arts could create, peace among peoples, it could create understanding. And basically, when both of them passed away, they left this money to the foundation. The purpose of it is to promote visual arts. I got involved, believe it or not. I am a tax accountant, and this is hard to believe. And I worked with Helen all these years and worked with her on her tax returns, and so I was involved with her on a foundation, and then when she passed, I ended up with a foundation along with 2 other directors, and it's been fun. So.
Very cool. Did you have the opportunity to see any of the artworks that are in this exhibition before it opened here tonight?
Yes, I saw it tonight. I did not see it before, yes.
And what, as a viewer of art yourself, what's your response to what you're noticing?
I thought it exemplified contemporary India, and that I enjoyed the film particularly, so on the streets of India. That was pretty neat.
Yeah, I thought that was very neat. The video that where he's moving the sculptural piece from place to place.
Piece, and the police are trying to get him to disassemble it in 15 minutes. So.
Why do you think it's important that we have art like this, that people are exposed to art like this? What makes a difference in terms of the life of the community?
Well, I think it promotes understanding among the countries of the world, and I really think that is the hope for peace in the world. That peoples come together, they understand the different cultures, and that's where peace will come from. Once you understand cultures, and art is an expression of that culture, and especially contemporary art, what we see here tonight. The Bosnian art exhibit that was sponsored here 2 years ago, that was another example. It demonstrates a culture. So.
Thanks so much for being with us. Thanks so much. So happy to have you. So there's some information about the Bear Foundation that, of course, is providing the sponsorship for the exhibition. We're going to have the opportunity in just a little bit to actually meet the artists who are part of at least some of the artists who are part of the exhibition. Don't forget that the exhibition runs from March 19th to April 17th. If you've got questions that you want to send us tonight, don't forget you can send them to us at live@hectv.org. That's live@hectv.org. And we're being joined right now. Don't come right in, Chitra. Am I saying that right, Chitra?
Yes.
We're being joined right now by Chitra Ganesh, who's one of the artists on exhibition. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for having us. We're thrilled to be here, and the exhibition and the turnout at this opening both are amazing. So.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your background as an artist before we see the example of the work that's right here. So are you from India? Are you native to America?
My parents are from India, and I am a native New Yorker. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, where I currently reside. Just a hop, skip, and a jump away from my parents. But I definitely have a relationship because we went back to India and spent the summers there. And aside from my parents, all of the rest of my family had been there. So it's definitely a big influence in that way.
Now, what's the kind of work that you like to do most? Let the audience have a sense of the media that you work in, messages you're trying to send, or just what excites you about working in art.
Sure. What excites me about working in art is the freedom to be able to figure out how to communicate what some people might think of as even age-old ideas about love or power or the body and history and who we are and how we think of ourselves in a new way to kind of get people to reconsider things that they might have otherwise pushed aside or maybe thought that they had already thought through. So I love to draw, I love to paint, and I work across media, so I make comic-based work, very influenced by comics and graphic novels, which is the work that's in the show. And I also paint and do drawings on the wall, directly on the wall, and I'm also very much interested in the history of murals and mural making. So.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that thing about comic books and the mural making, because when I looked at the piece of yours that's in there, that's immediately what struck me, is how the way it looked like that, and I was really attracted to it because of its bold color, because of what it looked like from that perspective. So that was really neat to see.
Fantastic. I'm really glad to hear that, because it's important to me that the audience also share some of the references, if not all, that I bring to the work, and that hopefully gives them a way to enter the work.
So let's talk a little bit about this specific work, because the audience is able to see it. When did you create it? Was it specific for this exhibition? Is this something you've worked on previously that's just part of the exhibition?
Yes, this is two pieces that I worked on for a solo show that I had in New York, and I had initially taken the comic book format and made a book, an actual book, and I wanted to expand that and kind of use the frame of painting, of large-scale figurative painting, to depict this comic work. So it's part of an ongoing series of work that I'm doing with comics.
Very cool. Thanks so much for being with us, Chitra.
Thank you very much for having us.
Great to have you here. So there you have the opportunity to see Chitra's work. We're going to have the chance now to meet Tushar Joag as well, who's going to talk to us. Oh, we're going to go with Tushar at this point in time. We're going to bring Tushar over. Yes! And he's going, oh, it's my turn? It is indeed your turn, Tushar. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
So talk a little bit about your background to start with. You're actually from India. You live in Bombay?
Yes, I do. Yeah, well, I live in Bombay. I did my bachelor's there, and then I did my master's at the Baroda School of Arts. And here I am now.
Well, let's just talk about were you always as a kid, I want to be an artist? Were you finger painting? Were you building sandcastles or being artistic? Or is it something that you came later? What kind of influenced you to get involved in the work?
To tell you frankly, my father actually wanted me to become an engineer because he was a civil engineer, and I had to actually flunk my 10th to be able to get into an art school.
So since you couldn't be an engineer, you said, okay, I'll be an artist?
Yes. No, but I always wanted to be an artist. I was always forever fidgeting with clay and, yeah, drawing all the time.
Now, talk in general, before we begin to talk specifically about the work that's here, let the audience have a sense of the kind of work you do. Do you work across media? Are you interested in certain types of media or certain types of messages or impacts you want to convey?
What actually matters to me is the content. So the media is kind of incidental. So I use the kind of media that would help me get the message across. So I do digital collages, I do drawings, I do paintings, I make videos, photographs, everything. I mean, whatever helps me to get the message across. It's the content that's more important for me.
And so when you say content, are you creating the piece with a certain message or focus in mind that you're hoping the audience will pick up on?
Surely, of course.
Well, let's talk about this one in particular then, because we've got video so the audience can see what it looks like. We've got images, photos you've taken, and also we've got a video. Talk a little bit about what this all represents.
This piece is called Looking for Flora, and it's basically about the anti-migrant kind of politics that the right-wing party in Bombay has been kind of practicing and kind of thrusting on people. So what I did was I recreated Flora Fountain Well is a monument that exists in Bombay.
Okay.
So I recreated the monument with the help of people who make sets for Bollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the recreation is made out of what? Like wood and
plywood,
plaster?
Plaster, styrofoam.
Okay.
And it's like Lego, so it kind of comes apart. So I just loaded it on trucks, and I had a team of 16 people, and I went on installing the flora fountain at different places. Only what I had done was there's like an image of flora on top of the fountain, which I knocked off. And the piece is called Looking for Flora. So it's like going around the city trying to look for the spirit of the city. So it's basically to say that people come to Bombay to try and look for their dreams. You know, Flora is like the goddess of fruits and flowers and abundance in a way. And people come there to try and, you know, find their dreams in a way. And if the outsiders are gone, then there's nothing left of the city, because Bombay is a cosmopolitan city and it is built by people who have come into the city. So if the flora is gone, then there's no spirit left in the city. So it's like the spirit of the city is gone away, and the pedestal is going around the city trying to locate the spirit of the city. So I installed the monument in various places in Bombay. So
fascinating. Now, you say you installed the monument in various places. Was it guerrilla installation? Did the police know you were coming?
No, it was absolutely guerrilla, because I didn't have any permissions. Because it's, you know, it's amazingly arduous to get permissions to do something in public spaces. So, yeah, it was totally done in one night, and I had lots of like incidents where cops, I mean, almost every time I tried to set it up, the cops came in and they tried to stop me, and then, yeah, a lot of kind of negotiations had to be kind of done to.
Now, how important was that to you as part of the piece? I mean, obviously you wanted to capture that on video. How important was it that the audience have a sense of that as well, to like create this element of like maintaining the spirit and the message you're trying to convey? Was that important, or just an additional element?
So important. That wasn't really so important. What was more important was actually the kind of interactions that I had with the people when I was doing that. Because what happens is I did it in the night, and a lot of migrant population actually sleeps on the streets in the nights, and they would gather around thinking it was a shoot for a film or something. So they would gather around, and then I could actually talk with them, but which sadly I could not capture on camera, because I was the only one who had the camera, and then to try and set it up and to try and talk to them, which I could not actually record. But that was actually the main part, which actually, yeah, made me think the project was successful.
Now, obviously, since you live in Bombay, your work is very influenced by that. Give our audience a chance to understand a little bit about the city, its size, its scope, its culture. Just, if I were to walk into Bombay, what would I be overwhelmed by? What might I expect?
As long as you're sure.
Exactly. Just a few minutes, right? Because there's only just a couple of people who live there.
Yeah,
it's a small town.
Just about 17 million.
Yeah, just about 17 million.
Yeah. No, well, it's like an amazing city. It's like a powerhouse, and I don't know. For me, it's what totally inspires my work, and yeah. Well, I wouldn't be anywhere else other than Bombay.
Very nice. Thanks so much for being with us, Tushar. And
thank you.
You're going to have the opportunity to be with us on Tuesday. We'll be here with Tushar Tuesday at 10 a.m. for an interactive program with students as part of our HEC-TV live series. Thanks so much. Look forward to it. So once again, there's our second artist. Don't forget, you can send us your questions to live@hectv.org. The exhibition opens tonight and runs to April 17th. And the third of our artists who's with us tonight is Yamini Nayar, and we have a chance to meet Yamini right now. Yamini, thanks so much for being with us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
So let's talk a little bit, first of all, just about your background as an artist. Where do you come from, and how did you get involved in art and that kind of thing?
Okay. Well, I was raised in Detroit, right outside Detroit, Michigan, and I studied photography at the Rhode Island School of Design for my BFA, and then I got my MFA in School of Visual Arts, also in photography in New York, where I currently live.
And give the audience a sense of, do you like to work across media? Do you prefer paint or mixed media or photography? What's the kind of things you like to work with, and why?
Well, I make photographs, but my photographs are actually documents of constructions that I build in my studio. So my work combines, it works across different media, including sculpture, architecture, collage, and then photography.
And are you, as you create the work, are you thinking about a specific attitude or emotional response or political response or whatever that you want the audience, the viewer, to take as they look at the piece? Or are you coming at it from, this is what I think looks interestingly from a structural perspective, or what exactly?
Well, my work is about really creating an environment that contains different narratives, and it's I'm interested in bringing the viewer into a space. in which the viewer can create projections and associations within the space of the photograph. So it's very much about the viewer coming into a space through the photograph.
Well, we had the opportunity to take some video of the specific works that you've got here in the exhibition. So as we run that video, let's talk a little bit about it. What is this piece, and what are these photographs, and what do they mean?
Well, I have two different strands of my work in the show, of 3 studies, which are actually black and white photographs onto which I draw architecturally. And then I also have a large color photograph. And so I work in these 2 veins. The studies are, I photograph within sort of sites of decay or old manufacturing sites, post-industrial towns, and then I, within these fragments of images, I go in and I sort of reconstruct spatial systems, within that photograph. So it becomes this sort of space of what was and then what could be. And then the photographs as well, I construct, and then the image emerges through time, and then it's sort of held together momentarily for the camera, in a sense.
Interesting, very cool. And I think the audience, when they come to the gallery, is really going to like the work. I was really struck by it. I was very, very impressed and struck. How do you get connected to an exhibition like this? The audience might be interested in that. Like, did someone contact you and say, I'm familiar with your work? How does all that happen?
Well, I was actually contacted by Dr. Hughes, and somehow he was familiar with my work. I've been showing within the contemporary Indian art circuit for a bit, so he may have seen my work, or maybe someone knew my work along those lines. But.
And are you have the chance to be here for a while the exhibition is open, or do you head back to Detroit?
Well, I actually live in New York.
Oh, you're in New York now.
And I am heading back tomorrow morning, sadly. I wish I was here longer. St. Louis is a fantastic town.
Well, thanks so much. So glad you were able to join us tonight. Thank you so much. We want to give you a chance to learn a little bit more about how the exhibition came together, public relations for the exhibition, etc. So we'll learn more about that right now. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's great. Give the audience a chance to understand who you are and your relationship.
Great. My name is Sanjeev Bajaj. I am with a group called the Network of Indian Professionals, and we've sort of helped to try to promote this event and bring some awareness to our community.
And when you talk a little bit about that, why do you think that's important? How do you go about promoting it? And what are the kinds of things you're hoping that people will take away as a result of coming to this exhibition?
Sure. So Indian culture is complex. And I think a lot of people, what they know of Indian culture is traditional and is very important for them to understand. This exhibition, though, is a tremendous opportunity, I feel, for people to see another side of Indian culture. Some of the more modern, sometimes edgy aspects of the culture, and maybe contrast that and compare it to some of the traditional modes and see some of how the culture's evolved and grown.
Very cool, because that's one of the things I immediately noticed, is that I think people will be surprised. This is not traditional in any sense of the word, but it definitely is influenced. You get a sense of Indian culture for sure.
No, absolutely, and there are a lot of themes that sort of cross different cultures, but then there are themes that are more specific and more relevant to Indian culture, and I feel the artists have done a very good job of bringing some of those out.
And as people come to the exhibition, and are there other resources that you'd like to send them to learn more about Indian culture or things in the region?
Sure. Well, there are several Indian organizations. There's, of course, the Network of Indian Professionals, and we do various types of events, some social, some professional, some volunteering. But there are temples in town. There's the Indian Association of St. Louis. There are several different organizations in town that take it as one of their goals to promote Indian culture. And if people are interested, we would love for them to explore those.
Thanks so much for being with us tonight. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Remember, the exhibition is Bring Me a Lion, an exhibition of contemporary Indian art. It's here at the Hunt Gallery on the campus of Webster University from now until April 17th. You actually can go to their website to learn more about it and just come here. The gallery is open on a daily basis for you guys to come and see it. On Tuesday, we'll have the opportunity to go into the gallery itself as we work with Tushar Joag, who's going to have an interactive program as part of HEC-TV Live. We'll be joined by school groups throughout the St. Louis region. And of course, as always, you would have the opportunity to send us your email questions during that program. So if you want to learn more about Tushar, about his specific work, which I think will be very interesting for you as we look about the sculptural piece that he created and the video that goes along with it, then you want to be with us on Tuesday at 10. Once again, I want to thank you for being here as part of HEC-TV Presents. It's Bring Me a Lion at the Hunt Gallery on the campus of Webster University. Night, everyone.